For those who
Yeah.
don't know, Heretic is A24's newest religious horror film, and it asks the question, what happens when, you invite someone into your home, someone invites you into their home, but they won't let you leave? Like what happens
Mhm.
then? And the film follows two young Mormon missionaries that arrive at an older gentleman's house while a terrible storm is brewing. And this older gentleman is played by Hugh Grant, and he had, put it, excuse me, an inquiry to learn more about, the Mormon Church, the Church of Latter-day Saints. So we follow Sister Barnes, played by Sophie Thatcher, and Sister Paxton, played by Chloe East, as they kind of ride their bikes around town, telling people about the Mormon Church, bringing the good news of the prophet Joseph Smith, and they come up to Hugh Grant's home, who plays Mr. Reed. And Mr. Reed invites him into their home. He says, my wife is in the other room. You'll get to see her in a minute because they can't be in a room alone with a man unless the other woman is present. And he starts talking to them, offering them blueberry pie. He asks them about religion, their beliefs, Mormonism. He asks them about their favorite fast food places. And at the top of the film, everything seems very casual. Like they're just having a conversation with like an older man. You know what I mean? And I was curious, like, what were your initial thoughts when you first started like watching the film? Like, did you notice any differences between like, Sister Paxton, Sister Barnes? Like, what did you think of Mr. Reed when we first meet him?
Um, it was, at least it seemed to me that the two girls study the religion for two different reasons. One of them studies it because she was brought in it, so she's willing to accept anything about it, right? So if you have any doubts about it, like for her, she doesn't know what a doubt is about this religion. This is all she knows. This is all she understands. This is all she's gonna raise her family to be in it, just like her family is gonna be in it. Like it's more of like that, right? It's a thing ingrained in her. Whereas the other one, she said her mom was a part of the church, and
Mm-hmm.
so she is a part of the church, but her dad died, right? So it seems like she's more in the church for survival purposes rather than because it's something she truly believes in. Like one of I don't remember which one is which, the blonde one, and then there's the brunette one. Can you remind me?
The
I don't
blonde
remember.
one is Chloe East, and Chloe East is Paxton, and then the brunette is Sophie Thatcher, and that's Barnes.
Blonde is Paxton, brunette is Barnes.
Yeah.
So Barnes seems like she's in the church because it's more of a survival thing. She doesn't really have anyone else, right? Her only support system is the church. And so she's going to stick with them more for survival. Whereas Paxton is with them because this is all she knows. It's not for survival. It's just like a biological need to be with them, right? That is her family.
Mm-hmm.
She's not going to leave that family. The other one says, I really have no one else. I have nowhere else to go. Like you guys are kind of my only choice, right? I have a lot of thoughts about the man. Okay.
Yeah.
I have a lot of thoughts about him. He at some point in the film, he started to annoy me because it just felt like I don't want to say misogynistic, but it
No, you could
seemed
say
very,
it.
yeah, right? Like, because I didn't know if that was the right word. He was a very misogynistic man
Mm-hmm.
who was basically just trying to convince these girls that he was God, the
Mm-hmm.
closest thing to God they're going to know. So to him, it's like, your religion really doesn't mean shit because I am the religion. I am no religion. In his mind, no religion matters
Mm-hmm.
because the only thing that matters is control. He says that at the end. That is the one true religion. It is control. And because I'm the controller of your life at this very moment, I am God. That's what it seems. And it seems like that is, he was trying to be smart about it. He thought they were like, two naive little girls that he can trap in his home, just like he did with all the others. And so he just wanted to exert this power he had over them. And it's like he had just had an overinflated sense of ego. That was what I got from his character. A man that thought he was smarter than women, and so he was above all. And that's what it seemed like to me. And he just tried to like use some psychological trickery, gaslighting, to try and get them to pretty much give up the religion and just him as the ultimate like God figure. You know, you are here because of me, because I controlled you to get into this situation, not your like, where's your God now type of thing. You know, that's what I got from it. What did you think?
Honestly, I feel like Mr. Reed, when we first meet him, he's definitely someone who's very charming. He seems very friendly. Charming. Yeah. You know, he's a bit awkward at times because, you know, he's talking to two young women and he's an older man. So I think he kind of like plays up the awkwardness to try and like disarm them. So he seems like an innocent man. And he seems like really insightful. You know, when he pulls out the Mormon Bible, it shows like all the markings he's made and like all the, you know, bookmarks he has in there. Like someone who like really cares a lot about like religion and belief and faith. It's interesting to see the conversation he has with the sisters at the beginning, because it feels like just a general conversation that you may have with a man who is, you know, a believer but likes to explore different, you know, religious systems and just kind of like see what's out there. But there were times where he was talking, it did kind of get on my nerves because I couldn't help but think like, where is your wife? Because if there's someone else in the other room, you hear them walking around, you hear them like moving things, you hear things happening in the background. And there's utter silence except for their talking. So that put me on edge, like, immediately. Also, I'm so glad they did not drink the Cokes that he gave them, because that set me off, like, immediately. I was like, do not drink anything at anyone's home. Like, you don't know if it's actually clean. You know what's actually in there. Like, you can't trust that stuff. And I really do admire, like, Sophie Thatcher, who plays Sister Barnes, because she does a good job of playing, like, you know, someone who, like you said, is in the church for the means of survival. But it's clear that she knows the Bible, or at least she knows the Mormon Bible well enough that she can kind of rebut Mr. Reed. And it's very clear that he didn't really anticipate her rebutting him and kind of like stepping to him.
No, he didn't.
Like, he didn't really think that was going to happen. No. And
I think he expected them to be very like most Mormons. Have you ever seen that guy? He goes to the Mormon college and he asks them like, oh, would you rather abolish slavery or meet Joseph Smith? And they're like, Joseph Smith. I would rather meet Joseph Smith. Would you rather, have you seen that? Or he'll be like, would you rather would you rather solve world hunger and have world peace, or would you rather meet Joseph Smith? And they'll be like, Joseph Smith. I would love to meet him. And he's like, you wouldn't want to solve world hunger? They're like, you know, but I would really like to meet Joseph Smith more. Like, they're very like ingrained in their religion. Like, nothing else matters except for Joseph Smith and the ability to meet him. And I think he is the man. What were you saying?
No, I was just gonna say that's kind of ridiculous, because like, if you're of the Mormon faith and you're asked that question, the correct answer really is like solve world hunger, because if you follow the Mormon faith, you will meet Joseph Smith when you die, right? Like, you'll see him when you get to heaven, or whatever it is their idea of the afterlife is. I don't really know, but like, if you know that you're of the Mormon faith and you're like devout in that, then meeting Joseph Smith is just something that happens later down in your afterlife. So like, yeah, abolish slavery, of course, because like, what the heck, you know?
Yeah, but to them, it's like, oh, but Joseph Smith? Oh no, like everything goes, Joseph Smith goes above everything. Abolish slavery, world hunger, poverty is all up here to them. Joseph Smith is right. This is Joseph Smith. Like, And to watch stuff like that, I'm like, this is a little scary, you know, because if that's your way of thinking, as you said, if you're going to meet Joseph Smith in your afterlife, why wouldn't you want to solve these problems during, you know, the real world right now? Like, it's weird, but I think that's what the man was thinking. Like, he thought they were going to be like that. And so when he said, I'm really interested in your religion, I would love to be a part of this amazing religion, he was able to convince them to kind of like, you know, enter the home, you know, they were disarmed. They thought they were amongst someone who was who was open to being just as devout as they were. And that was the whole point of them even coming, like, you know, so the church to them was supposed to be above everything. And so they were willing to just go out there for the sake of the church, which kind of correlates with the whole TikTok thing I was telling you about the guy going to the school and asking them these questions, because it's like they were willing to go to a strange man's home for the purpose of trying to get the word of Joseph Smith out there. So there is like a little correlation with that.
Yeah. The idea of like, you know, basically discipleship and evangelism, but to the point of like, you know, kind of putting yourself in danger is worrying, because in the beginning part of the film, after they realize that the candle on the table is a blueberry pie candle meant to deceive them, that like his wife is making a blueberry pie where she's not, there's basically no wife, you know, they try to leave, they try to get out. And then I think that in the beginning of the film, he said, like, there's metal in the walls of my home. I hope you don't mind. Yeah. It seems like a very innocuous thing for him to mention, but what you see realize is that it blocks any kind of signal, any phone signal leaving the house, which means they're essentially trapped. And the locks in the home are built on a timer. And I didn't realize that until, like, they try to open the door. But you can see, like, how he flips a light switch, how he adjusts, like, the thermostat before he goes to sit down and talk with them. It's clear that there's, like, you know, timers kind of, like, synced throughout the house. Like, at least the foyer, or, like, the opening part of the house, the living room. So when they finally leave to go to his office, that is when we realize that Mr. Reed is a lot more dangerous of a man that he makes himself out to be. And I think in the part where we go to his office, we're kind of like in Act 2 of the film, and he's talking about like different religions and like the similarities of Jesus' story through other messiahs and other religions, and like talking about monopoly and capitalism. As we were watching the movie, I think that like Hugh Grant has this amazing way of seeming very charismatic in the way that he talks. But not only that, he has the same flair of how he talks, close to like, I don't know how to describe this, but like a podcaster, you know, like, or maybe just like some guy, you know, like, I don't know if you've ever been in the situation where you're stuck in a conversation with somebody, and you start talking about one thing, and it leads to something else, and it leads to something else, and then suddenly they're talking about how like there is an oligarchy controlling all the world, and there's a secret society controlling the money, and the US is really print the money, like the federal government is really in charge of this, like all these conspiracy theories that like sound ridiculous, but because they believe in it so firmly and it fits into their worldview, they can almost have you convinced that this is real. And so when he's talking to these young women, you can tell that like Barnes is a little nervous. Barnes he's annoyed. And Paxton is kind of nervous and a little bit scared. And I'm sitting in the theater and I'm like, I need this guy to shut up for like 5 seconds. Because like, he's been talking for 10 minutes straight. He hasn't stopped talking. He hasn't stopped talking. Like, stop playing this fucking song. Stop talking about Monopoly. Like, what are you doing here?
Barnes was able to see past his bullshit.
Yeah.
Which I think the reason she was able to do that is because like the whole survival thing, right? Like she seems a bit more open to the world. Like she has a bit more experience, whereas Paxton was more sheltered throughout her life. So she's probably encountered so many people like this. So many people that are, spewing bullshit. Really, I shouldn't say bullshit because I guess some of the stuff he said was factual, but she does point out like the inconsistencies in what he was saying, right?
Yeah.
And I don't think he liked that. I don't think he expected her to be as like, you're kind of bullshit, like she's looking at him like, come on, like be for real, right? So
Yes. And honestly, I feel like when he's talking about all these claims in regards to like what is the true religion and how like all religions are adaptations of another, it does very clearly feel like something that's very rehearsed. So
yeah,
it shows us that like this is not the first time he's done this before. And it's clear that, like you said, he in his mind thinks that these girls are young, so they're naive. They don't really know what they're talking about. They're not as like smart or as advanced as he is. And he feels like he can like disarm them or like persuade them to see his point of view. And the fact that Barnes was very much like, no, like everything you're saying is complete and utter BS. Like I'm not seeing, like you're not going to convince me otherwise. Like everything you're saying is absolutely ridiculous, because some of the stuff he was saying was kind of like ridiculous,
it was.
And yeah.
She even knew a little bit about each religion for her to be like, what are you talking about? That's not true. You failed to mention this, and this. You're only sticking to the point that makes your argument sound better whenever this other point exists.
Right. That is very true, because people do tend to do that, where like they'll kind of twist things when it comes to like facts to fit their worldview or to fit whatever scenario or whatever narrative they're trying to feed you so that you could get on their side. But they're not going to give you the full truth, because if they give you the full truth, then you can doubt them and then you can prove them wrong, And when he brings up, like when he starts to do like, this door is for belief, this door is for like, I guess, non-belief or like doubt.
Disbelief, doubt, yeah.
Yeah.
Disbelief, yeah.
Like from when he revealed the doors and he was like, pick which door you want to go to. And it's clear that like Paxton just wants to pick the right door so they can leave. Like she just wants to get out of there. She does not want to be there anymore. Like she's like, okay, but which is the exit? And, you could tell like she's trying to bargain with the guy. She's like, okay, I'll go through this door, I'll go through that door. Like she wanted to go through the disbelief door, even though like she's not a non-believer. Like you can't talk to somebody for 2 hours and then like completely throw away all your beliefs and morals. Like, oh, you convinced me. Oh, like what you said was right. Like I totally see your side now. Like no,
she just wanted to give him what he wanted because she just wanted to leave, which kind of tracks with what I'm assuming. I don't want to say how her life is, but she's just been conditioned to follow a religion, not because she truly believes in it, but because that's what she's taught. And so she is taught to just, okay, well, if this is what you're telling me, I'm going to give you what you want. This is what I'm giving this to you. I have no fight. I'm not fighting you on it.
Yeah, the path
just like she doesn't
resistance.
Fight. Yeah. Whereas Barnes was kind of like, hold on. It doesn't like, what are you saying right now? Like, I'm not giving, I'm going to challenge you. She's like, I think we're being studied. And this is what he wants.
Yeah. I was thinking about what you said earlier. Like, with Paxton, it does seem very clear that she was raised in the church. So she is less likely to question things. But because Barnes, it's clear that like her mom like married into the church. So Barnes probably had like a dark past where she was like not a great kid. So now that she's like 19, 20 and she's in the Mormon church, it's kind of like, well, I guess I'll just go with it because like me and my mom are in it. So like we may as well try. You could tell that because she possibly already had doubts that God existed before joining the Church of Latter-day Saints. She has already questioned the Bible, and she's probably like that one kid in Sunday school that like questions everything the teacher's talking about, and has had many talks with her elder about like, the different parts of the Mormon Bible. So that's why she's more equipped to kind of combat Mr. Reed, because if she's not going to be listening to her elders within the Mormon church, then she's not going to listen to this random old man who's trying to convince them that, like, their belief and their belief system is false and not right.
Yes.